All right. Hey, Louis, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you. Firstly, congratulations on the new single. It's absolutely rocking. We are loving it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's an exciting time for me. Excited for the next chapter.
Before we get to anything, Louis, I have to talk to you about your fans. We know what a fandom you have, and they influence artists today in ways that, it hasn't been done before. So talk to us about your fans and what they mean to you.
Yeah, I think I've always had a pretty special relationship with my fans. Even from when we came up with the band, it was just around the time that social media, Twitter in particular, was getting big. So it gave us a direct communication from the off, really, with our fans. And to a degree, I've grown up with them. So there's been this special connection now for a long time, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Now I have to get to this. It's Louis versus Lewis. By accident, trust me, by accident on the air, I went Lewis. All right. And I had the Louis fans completely going nuts. They invaded my DMs and they said, "It is Louis, Erica." So let's hear it from you. Would you be very upset if I called you Lewis, just by the off chance?
Ironically, everyone back home, Doncaster, where I grew up, they all call me Louis, to be fair.
There you go.
But my name is Louis, so you pick.
All right. I'm going to stick with Louis just for the fans because I'm terrified of them. But
that's smart decision.
That being said, I mean, your fans are some of the most passionate we know, especially during your tour. At every show, they kind of have this fan project. So, is there a particular project that's been really close to your heart that you remember?
Like they do a range of different things at the shows, but one thing that they've done that I never saw in my time in One Direction, and maybe it's just down to the fact that literally everyone there now has a phone with a torch. And for me on stage, looking on, that takes some organization. It's like thousands of people getting in on it. So yeah, that's always really special. Blows my mind, all of that stuff.
Well, I'm quite sure the fans in India are waiting to do that, to welcome you. So any plans of heading to our shores?
Definitely. I'd absolutely love to. I'd love to come play a show there.
Okay. Well, speaking of India, do you have an Indian connect? Have you been to India?
I haven't, but honestly, it's one of those places I've always been excited to come. So to play a show there, it'd be unbelievable.
Is there a place that you want to go to India that you've sort of made plans for? Do you know of any?
Not in particular, but I'm most excited about trying the local food. That sounds incredible to me.
It does. Have you tried to hand it Indian food? Do you like anything Indian in terms of the cuisine?
Well, we have a lot of curries here in England, but I don't know how representative they are, but they taste good to me.
It all tastes good. Have to come to the new album, Faith in the Future. The title of that song, it's like full of hope. Louis, what does it mean for you?
Well, I actually had the title for the album before I'd written any of the songs for it. Just a phrase that spoke to me for whatever reason. And then everything happened in the world and it just felt like an appropriate, positive message to send out into the world, really.
Right. Is there a special part, in the making of this album that you'd like to share with us? Maybe an anecdote in the process of making of it?
Well, I'm not sure about a specific anecdote, but one thing I did differently on this time round was I tried to work with more artists, and I found that process very fulfilling. It means that every single song that you write has the attention that it deserves. So I think it shows in the music as well.
Yeah. And you kept teasing your fans with the number 369. What is that significance?
Do you know what? I'm kind of enjoying the mystery, so I'm not telling you.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. A little hint, maybe.
Nah, I'm not giving you nothing.
All right, I'm going to try and squeeze it out at some point. In what ways can we expect this album to be different from Walls?
I think it represents me better as an artist. My first album, there's a lot of room for overthinking, really, and being over analytical. And it's something I'm really proud of, but it was also an element of me finding my feet, with my first record. So where I've ended up with this second album, it's something I'm really proud of, but also I think represents me much better as an artist.
Yeah. And then coming to the song, Bigger Than Me. I mean, it's just so anthemic. It's so massive. This is like an arena song. Have you planned for that? And what's been the feedback so far from your fans?
Yeah, you're always looking for at least one of those on the album, really, one of those kind of big soaring choruses. And I can remember the feeling after we'd written it, that I didn't really have one of those on Walls on my first album. So from the second it was written, I kind of knew that this was going to be the first single off the album. I think it's a good statement of intent. It feels big, it feels ambitious. And in terms of the reaction's been amazing. I am so blessed with my fans. Everything I've seen's been positive, so I can't complain.
So from being part of One Direction to now flying solo, what's been that learning for you? What have you learned about yourself?
Loads of things. I had a very clear idea of who I was within that band. But, it's another thing thinking about who you are as an individual, as an artist. And I think, you learn more and more things about that whole process every day. And for me, it's been nice to be able to kind of chip away at that and now have a much clearer picture of my identity musically. That's a good feeling for me, definitely.
So tell me this, if you could sort of redo any part of that X Factor audition, would you redo it? And if so, which part?
Look, the thing is, I had no experience, no idea really what I was doing in that time, but it got me here. So no, I wouldn't change it.
And then you went back as a judge. I mean, that's like coming full circle. How was that? How was that experience for you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was probably one of the best things I've done in my career. I really, really enjoyed it. It's something I'm interested anyway, the whole development stage of artists, as they're coming up. And it's something, I really, really enjoyed.
Anyway, we know that you love football. Is Hollywood calling, though, with respect to a role in a football film about Jamie Vardy?
I think I was considered at one stage. I don't know if the movie's still going ahead, to be fair. But I'm not gonna lie, when all of that was happening, that was like, there wasn't as much happening in my music life. Like, this is a full-time job right now. So I can't imagine doing anything else right now.
Okay. But on the offside, would you be out there in the field playing some friendlies, that your fans can catch?
Oh, football?
Yeah.
Do you know what? As I've got a bit older, and I do intend to do something about it, but as I've got a bit older, I am unfit. I cannot run for 90 minutes anymore. So I haven't played footy in a long time, but it is something I really enjoy. I will get back to it at some point, but I'm unfit.
Oh, okay. Favorite football player, and are you looking forward to the World Cup?
Favorite football player?
I know that's a tough one. You don't have to answer it.
Growing up, it was probably Wayne Rooney. Right now, it's Haaland. Haaland over at Man City. Amazing player.
All right. And looking forward to the World Cup?
Yes, I am looking forward to it. We got very close with the Euros, England did, so I'm hoping we can go all the way in the World Cup.
Fingers crossed. A little bit of a flashback moment. If you had to go back to when you were 18 years of age, what would you tell yourself then?
I can't believe at times how well it's gone for me. So I'd probably just say you're going to be all right, lads. Because, there's been a lot of times in this job where you're wondering what's coming next. But I'd say I've been pretty lucky so far.
The pandemic hit us all, and musicians especially found themselves sort of in with their music, and a fantastic album came out of it. So your personal experience of producing and creating music during the pandemic, and what did it do for you in that space?
Well, for me, two things really. For the first half, I wasn't very creative, but that was almost by choice. I'm often very busy, and actually to be creative, you need a clear picture in your head. So I didn't really bother with doing any Zoom writing sessions or anything like that. I'd rather do those things in person. So I was lucky enough to be able to wait. So most of the album, to be fair, was made like outside of all of that.
All right. What's Louis listening to these days? What's on your playlist?
There's a great band called Stone. great band called Stone, and also the Snuts, who have done quite a bit of touring with me. They're a great band. So between those two, I've been rinsing them.
All right. In terms of style, Louis, how would you like to define your personal style today, as opposed to say when you were, part of One Direction? Would you like to sort of define it for us?
I would say I'm always trying to be as authentic as possible, and lyrics are very, very important to me. But I suppose as an artist, it's ever evolving, that who you are as an artist and your certain style. But I've got a real focus on lyrics and honesty. So those two things, I suppose, define my ride.
And finally, a message to your fans here in India, specifically the Louis in India.
I would just say thank you very much for your support. I often see it on social media, and honestly, all the time I'm talking to my management about coming to a show in India. So we're going to make it happen
soon, because I can tell you that if you're going to be bombarded with your fandom, they're slightly insane in a good kind of way, of course. And
I've got big expectations.
And I promise to the Indian fans, it's going to be Louis from now on. It's Louis Tomlinson. Thank you so much for checking in with us on 94.3 Radio 1. And we hope to see you in person sometime soon.
94.3 Radio 1.